Welcome back, and today I'm going to talk about Fearless Vampire Killers, a Roman Polanski film from the late 60s that starred himself, Jack McGowan, Sharon Tate, who Polanski later married, and then she was obviously killed in that obscenity in the late 60s. And this was basically the film they met each other and fell in love and stuff. And it was Polanski's big failure at the time, but now it looks good. But it is a flawed film. It is it was cut down in length and made more ridiculous and farcical by the American distributors who called it Dance of the Vampires, and they changed the voice of Jack McGowan to make it more comic-y. And when the joke of that character is he's a silly old duffer who doesn't understand things. So they're trying to add all these jokes to this film, and it didn't work. The Polanski version is better. I haven't seen the Dance of the Vampires, but I've heard this one's better. It is enjoyable, but it is a bit long. It does feel like they could have been in and cut little bits here or there to just pace up slightly. Not massive swathes of it. Just needed one more pass just to give a little nicks here or there that would have just given it a little more push without ruining the atmosphere. That's really what I feel the film is it's very enjoyable, but could have just had one more pass at it, really. But it's a parody of... It's always called a parody of the Hammer films, which it is-ish, but it's also a parody of, fantastical films from European literature, fantastical stories from European literature, generally. Hammer was the ones who were doing that stuff at the time. But it's really a riff on Gothic traditions altogether, and there's lots of stuff about Jewish religion and all the stuff, because Polanski's obviously Jewish, and he has a lot of fun with that. The first third of the film takes place in this inn near the castle that the vampires are at, and it's about two vampire hunters coming to try and find the vampire infection. So it's basically Jack McGowan as the old guy who's Van Helsing riff, but he's away with the theories. He doesn't pay attention at all. He's got his own theories. He loves books, but he's no practical knowledge. And it's a great performance because McGowan obviously was younger than the character he's playing, so he could be very physical in ways that were funny, and also he could do all the tricks with everything was needed with the tricks, but looking like an old man doing it, so it really worked. Because he could act old man really well. And Roman Polanski is his poor assistant, who's is a dog's body, who he's treated badly throughout. So it's funny watching the director play the dog's body character. He's in love with Sharon Tate character, who is this crazy young woman who loves vampires, but is really obsessed with having baths every night. That's her obsession. And Polanski's character's smitten with her, because he's smitten with her because he's a young guy who doesn't understand that this person is stupid. So it's a joke about how people can be obsessed by other people's looks and not paying attention to what's below, which is nothing in this case. But it's a charming performance, but it's a character who doesn't have a clue. There's the Alfie Bass plays her father, who's this guy who's married to this woman who's a huge woman. He's obsessed by the housekeeper and he's just trying to get lucky with her, and he's failing completely, so he's just frustrated. And at a certain point, he gets infected with the vampire curse after his daughter's kidnapped by the vampires from the local big castle. So it is a play on the idea of the class divisions. The vampires are the rich vampires from the past. The poor people of the town are just struggling to make a living, and they're barely surviving, and they're just old Jewish stereotypes that Polanski has fun with. And Alfie Bass has a lot of fun playing this guy, and as soon as he becomes a vampire, he suddenly becomes randy and obsessed and focused on just getting blood. He's just the worst person. He's just that annoying person you always have to deal with in life, who just will you look at yourself? What are you doing? Is that kind of character? And there's obviously the famous line when someone tries to put a crucifix to him and goes, "Oh, you get the wrong vampire because you're Jewish, so the cross doesn't work." So they have fun with that kind of stuff. And they're fun with Alfred Bass generally because at one point he's sleeping at the feet of one of the older vampires, like he's a dog or something. He's just hilarious every time you see him, but hilarious and not in a very unforced way. Like the character situation is funny, so the actor knows just play the character. Do not overdo it. I mean, the character's already huge. The character's already massive in like design, so you don't have to just go even further. You just have to play the character and just be broad, and it works. But broad, but specific to his stereotypes. So there's that class element, but also the funny thing is when you get to the vampires and the castle, their castle's in tatters. It's a lot of old stuff that's rotten because they've been there for so long, and they're refusing to leave. So there's not much food in the local area because everyone's got their garlic and everything else. So the vampires, a lot of them are just hibernating during the year and they come out for the big dance of the end of every year, basically, or dances, whatever they want to do the dances. But there's not that many, so they only come out really when there's people available to drain. So that's really, it's this idea of the vampires are just like these pathetic creatures who, if you just left them alone, they'd kill a few people a year and they stay in a castle. It's like just actually coming to destroy them is actually the thing that causes all the problems. And of course, the vampire hunter doesn't understand that because he wants to prove to everyone vampires exist because he's fed up of being a joke to everybody. And because his vanity actually causes all the problems. So the film is about this idea of these two guys who are completely inappropriate for the task at hand, who don't understand it, dealing with these vampires who have also got their own problems. You know, like the Count's lonely. The Count just wants somebody to talk to because he reads a lot of books. He sucks blood every so often, but he's really reading a lot of books and he's interested in the world. And he's very, very cultured. He's got a big telescope to look at out in the world. And he's got a son who's gay, who's very gay, who really fancies Polanski. And he's just got this sort of covering up a family that's just these vampires sleep in the coffins all the time. And, you know, his place is rotten, so he needs to go out into the world. He doesn't want to do it. And these vampire hunters that come, who he has to try and deal with, they cause the problem for him, and they end up causing a worldwide plague because they have to rescue the girl, the stupid girl played by Sharon Tate. They have to rescue her, even though she's been bitten. And by the end of the escape from the castle, and at that point she turns into the vampire, which shows they attained to civilization, which causes a worldwide plague. So basically, if they hadn't done the romantic notion thing of rescue the girl, everyone would have been fine. She was happy to be there. She did not need to be rescued. She was happy to get the blood drained, become a vampire, have lots of baths. Her life would have been complete. She would have been fine. She would have been beautiful forever. Have her baths. She would have been good. Have to rescue her because they're stupid. You know, everyone else knows their place in the world. The villagers know that they are the victims of these people with all this power and all this money. The people with power and money know that they're kind of useless and they're hanging on from the past and they're not going to do anything. But these two bumbling idiots have to come and cause problems. And that's the humour of the film. It's just the fact that it's not about gags as much as it's about these characters not knowing where they are or not understanding their place in the world. And they're just trying to cause change and they don't have a clue how to cause change, so they cause chaos instead. And the whole film, it has a streak of Hammer, but and just by how colourful it is. It's obviously they like the early Hammer films with all the colours from the Terence Fisher era. But they also like old folk tales. You know, they also like the old Jewish tales of Polanski's youth. So there's lots of different things in there. Instead of it being a perfect castle, it's just this rotten castle and everything's collapsing. There's a hunchback assistant who's pretty brain dead who helps them. So basically there's that cliche from folk tales and from literature as well as from the Hammer films. It is shot like Hammer films with a bigger budget. So you have like matte paint in the background. You have like these castle shots at night and things, but it's shot in the snow with a bigger budget, so you can tell they spent money that Hammer might not have had to do all this stuff to make it look better than Hammer could afford. When in fact, what happens is it just looks like a big budget Hammer film because you still have the matte painting, you still have all the other stuff, so it just becomes a bigger joke, being that they've spent more money to make it look like a mega budget Hammer movie, but it still has the charms of a Hammer movie, which is why I like it. And I think that's why the film probably didn't do that well, is because people thought it's still a Hammer movie, it's still a mega budget Hammer movie, and it's like, yeah, that's what it is. That's the fun of it. It's like they spent all this money, they built all these castles, they built all these sets, more than Hammer could afford, because Hammer could also have to reuse sets from film to film because of the budgets. This film didn't have to do that. They built these big sets, these elaborate sets, did all these things. But it's still the same function. Really. It's still going to look like a matte painting. It's still going to look like a studio set. I mean, it just works though. It just works really nicely. I mean, it feels as much ode as to the Mario Bava films, to be honest though. Mario Bava with Black Sabbath and Black Sunday feels like tied to them as well as the Hammer thing. So it feels like it's a bit of a genre that Polanski liked that was all over the 60s. He was just having fun with the whole genre rather than just one specific studio. And that's the charm. If you like those films like I do, that's the charm of this film. It's just got a beauty to it, but it's silly. It takes a mickey, but it's also respectful at the same time. It's like it loves these films. You can tell they love these films. The people that Polanski obviously love these films he's parodying, because he's not parodying them too much. It's like, I like this kind of story. There's humour involved in it, but you tell he loves that kind of story. So it is a kind of love letter as well as a little bit of a Mickey take, and it just works for what it is. It's this sort of minor film by a terrific director. It's not going to be the one that everyone remembers him by, but it's a nice little side note film. It's a nice little film to enjoy once in a while. It's a bit long, you know. The plot itself is very rambling. That's why it feels a bit long. But it doesn't matter that much ultimately, because it still feels complete in itself. It still feels like it is what it wants to be. This big rambling thing. It doesn't have the spare focus of some of the better Hammer films and its plotting, but it doesn't really need to, because that's not its interest. It prefers to be as a rambling story. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I don't want to go any more. I just want to try and encourage you to go and watch this film because there's a lot of fun stuff there. It's very enjoyable. So that's me for now. I'll be back later with some more.